In a couple of weeks, I'll be taking the truck down to Kentucky to my friend's house, and we're going to put the white oak wood in the bed. So right now I am doing a lot of details, trying to make the truck as reliable as possible, taking care of as many oil leaks as I can, making sure the brakes work as good as they can. I did all the adjustments on all four wheels. That took care of a lot of issues on the brakes, and they seem pretty sturdy now. I think I finally got all the air bled out of them, so they don't feel spongy or anything. The fuel delivery system, I'm replacing the fuel pump. I'll tell you more later. Taking care of details like painting wheels and things like that. Hopefully, if the plan goes, there is a Power Wagon rally in Carrollton, Kentucky, about the middle of September. That's what I plan to attend. The next video will probably be getting the wood in the bed, and that'll be down at my friend's house. So, like I said, I'm taking care of a bunch of little details. Finish the tailgate, little details, but that's about it. Thanks. So I'm revisiting this great, fabulous, wonderful, 100% non-rusty tailgate, yeah right, that I got on eBay. So it doesn't fit. Whoever said all the Dodge tailgates were the same was not telling the truth. Now the width is the same, the hinges are the same, but the height is different. This has to be moved up pretty much to the top up here. So I'm gonna have to grind these rivets off, drill it out, slice through here, basically do some surgery just to move this assembly up here. And that should fit, and I think this tailgate will do until I find a better one. So basically popped out the rivets, repositioned it up, cut this part out, which I'm going to replace some of that. This is pretty decent metal. This side is pretty lacy metal. I'll probably have to put a piece on the back side of that to reinforce it. This is where flux core welding really shines and really works. If there's any real steel anywhere down in that rust, it will find it and bond to it. It's kind of a mess to clean up, but at this point, who cares? This is just a temporary tailgate. So what do we think? What do we think? And the back. Soap and water and a scratchy pad on the back to try to bring back as much of that original paint as I possibly can. So for this side, the back side, I'm going to use a wire brush like this, not a heavy duty one. Just want to get the loose stuff off. There's not much paint left there, but I'll try to preserve what I can. Spritz a little primer. So it'll blend in kind of. Now here is the secret sauce. And that's what we're going to use front and back on this, and we'll see if it makes it look, well, it protects the rusty surface for a little bit. You have to do it like once a month or something, but should make it a little bit nicer. You apply it with the rag, put it on, just slap it on pretty thick and rub it on. You can do it a couple times, and that's what you get from it. Original style chains are 50 bucks from vintage Power Wagons, which I thought was a lot, but I guess not really. I went to the hardware store and spent almost as much getting these, but I think they'll be fine. So I decided to take some time and effort and strengthen these areas here. On the other side, I'm going to cut out a bigger chunk. But I want green painted metal to blend in with my rustiness. So I'm going to make a concoction to rust that metal. Yeah, I know it's kind of opposite of what I've been doing. So grind off all the paint, except for inside. I don't want to rust inside. Oh, the mix is a whole bottle of hydrogen peroxide, about 6 ounces of vinegar, and salt, a bunch. And then let it soak for a little bit, and we will have some rusty metal. Well, considering I welded good steel to rotten steel, and not caring about how pretty the welds look, turned out okay. And I can sit on it and jump up and down without cracking nasty sounds. I think it's going to be nice and strong. So here's a step you don't have to do. I've decided to use stainless steel hardware for the bed, and kits are available for the hold down bolts and for the installing the wood, but miscellaneous stuff I don't think there's a complete kit for. So this type of thing I'm going to use, if you're not going to see it, like underneath the bed, hidden places, washers, lock washers, nuts. And I happen to like these butt heads. This will be for places where you see it, and I just think it looks kind of cool. This is my filler neck. It's kind of beat up, but I'm just going to clean it up and paint it with some automotive black. Just get a rattle can from parts store. Should be okay. To anybody who has complained about this, there was a big loop in the brake line on this rear axle. Well, I took that out, shortened it up, did double flare on that end, and it is not leaking. But yeah, loops like that number one, they're ugly. Number two, that's where bubbles of air like to hide, so you can't really get the brake system bled properly. Well, I have discovered that I do have one discrepancy. All the boards will lay nice and flat for all the cross members, except when you get back to here. And that's because these are reproduction, and I went eyeballing where this should be mounted. And what I should have done, but I had no dimension to go by, is measure from here down to where this hinge is going to be, because this L-shaped heavy steel bracket is welded onto here. That placement should have been about a ½ an inch up higher. All right, got this puppy together. The holes for the brake light on the side, and the nuts welded in. All the pieces together. It's a far sight from that mess. But again, like I said, I had nothing to go by. So if that's the only problem so far, that's not too bad. And I think what I'm gonna do is put in a ½ inch strip of wood right here. And then the planks can go right on here. This will have to be reformed a little bit to bring this surface up just enough. But yeah, I think all things considered, that's going to be just fine. I finally got my pieces in that are going to replace this. That's the only piece that survived from the original. And like I've described before, the wood goes down here. That goes kind of like that. It's welded to the side. And that piece will go in pretty much without any changes, or possibly, yeah, I think on that side, yeah. This one will have to be cut so that it kind of goes around here. That last back piece has to be cut to fit. Again, this has to kind of bend around there like that. Okay, I got my spare tire wheel rim cleaned and painted. You notice this is a little bit different from the other ones. It's actually incorrect for a civilian power wagon. It's dated 1945, so it could have been on an ambulance or something like that. It's supposed to have, well, what these tires are 9 by 16, and it's supposed to have 7.5 by 16, so a slightly smaller tire. But it works just fine, and I bought 2 of them kind of by accident some time back because I was desperate. It'll work for a spare. So I still have a fuel pump issue. When the engine's cold, it'll start up and it'll fill this up just fine, and it will remain filled for quite a while. You leave the engine running. I've been trying to do this just to test things out. Fast idle for maybe 30-40 minutes. You can tell that the level starts going down and gets all the way down to here, which tells me the fuel pump is not pushing enough fuel through there. Just to make sure, I got rid of the steel fuel line just to make sure that kink wasn't causing a problem, and it did the exact same thing. So I've got another fuel pump on order from Vintage Power Wagons, but I'm going to take this apart and see if I can figure out why it would stop pumping when it gets warm. I don't know. So what's the verdict? The JB weld I put on there is just fine. So the problem wasn't the pin moving. The problem was, this is the old one, old one that came with the truck. These valves, I think, were sticking. Previously, I actuated the pump and got no vacuum, no nothing out here. Squirted a little bit of oil on the valves, and now I'm getting suction and this is blowing out. Okay, I'm not going to put this one back in there. Yeah, maybe that fixed it, but I'm not going to trust that it is fixed permanently. More Chinese crap. Been running about an hour, and looks like the pressure is still perfect. So I'm going to say that's a fix.